All right, fans, let's kick this divisional weekend off, okay, starting with the Ravens versus the Houston Texans. All right, what a juicy matchup. We're talking Lamar Jackson versus C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud has taken the league by storm this year. Absolutely the best rookie football player on either offense or defensive side of the ball. I like C.J. Stroud at Ohio State. I had no idea he would be this good as a pro this year. I enjoyed watching C.J. Stroud the entire year, and to watch him last week go up against the Cleveland Browns was a thing of beauty. Okay, now I will toot my own horn here. I did pick the Houston Texans to beat the Cleveland Browns last week. I just thought that the Houston Texans defense, led by DeMeco Ryans, okay, had already seen this Cleveland offense one time and was not going to allow this Cleveland offense to beat him again. Okay, so let's get into the matchups when we're talking about here. A lot of things to talk about when we're talking about the Ravens versus the Houston Texans, and the number one thing we got to talk about is Lamar Jackson. Okay, listen, the big elephant in the room, okay, is Lamar Jackson and his playoff record. Okay, Lamar Jackson is 1-3. Let me repeat that. Lamar Jackson is 1-3 in the playoffs, okay, and has never, let me repeat this, okay, has never been to an AFC championship game. All right, now this is a Baltimore Ravens team that has year in and year out been tough team on defense. They've been trying to figure out their things on offense, but this year, okay, this year is the absolute best chance that Lamar Jackson has of advancing to the AFC championship game. He is one game away, okay, from playing his best game he's ever played as a pro and getting his team to the NFC Championship game. The weapons he has now are immense versus what he used to have. And now Lamar Jackson is going to have the luxury of getting Mark Andrews back, who was a full participant in practice, okay? So now you'll be able to run 12 personnel, all right, which is a two tight end set. You'll be able to use Isaiah Likely, and you'll be able to use Mark Andrews. And I think that will pay dividends for the Ravens in this game. We'll get into the matchup and the breakdown, but just the weapons, okay? You have Odell Beckham Jr. You got Bateman out there, okay? I really like what I've seen from the wide receiver number 4. His name is escaping me right now, unfortunately, okay? Zay Flowers, okay? I love what I've seen from Zay Flowers. This is not a prolific offense, but this is a much better offense. I think Todd Monken has done some very nice things with Lamar Jackson, okay? That's made them look better. But unfortunately, this is the playoffs, and in the playoffs, you really get to watch everything that a team has done. You get to break down all the tape, and you really get to formalize a game plan on how you want to attack a quarterback in a one-game situation. And the way to attack Lamar Jackson has always been pressure, has been to keep him in the pocket, all right, but bring an extra person and heat him up to have to force him to make some decisions. So how will that play a factor in this game? Well, let's just get into the tail of the tape here, okay? Lamar Jackson, again, like I said, 1-3 in the playoffs with a 68.3 passer rating, which is very putrid, okay? Only 900 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions in 4 playoff games, okay? So when we get into the breakdown, when we talk about quarterback, it's a push for me, all right? I know Lamar Jackson is a former MVP. Okay, I understand that. I also understand that Lamar Jackson is the current front runner this year for MVP. Not because his stats are out of this world crazy, but because they're okay, and because he's gotten this Baltimore Ravens team to be the number 1 team in the entire football league this year. Okay, they look like it. They've been blowing teams out. All right, this has been a great combination of offense and defense, and the running game for the Baltimore Ravens has been outstanding. Okay, and it's really been helping them win a lot of their games, and it may be the very reason why they win this game. But if you had to ask me, C.J. Stroud is a phenom, okay? Lamar Jackson was a phenom, but C.J. Stroud is a phenom with his arm. C.J. Stroud is a phenom with his mind. C.J. Stroud is a phenom with his timing and understanding where his receivers are going, not where they are, okay? So C.J. Stroud it's just a great talent. Is able to push the ball down the field, doesn't look at the rush. He keeps his eyes on his defenders. He's able to reset his feet. He just does everything mechanically well as a quarterback, okay? Much better than what I see from Lamar Jackson. Is Lamar Jackson a more explosive player as far as breaking the pocket and hurting you with his legs? Absolutely. Let's not be ridiculous here, okay? But in this type of game right here, okay, it's not that kind of game. Can it be that type of game? All right, can Lamar Jackson find ways to make plays the way that nobody else can with his legs? All right, that's going to be a very, very pivotal part of this football game, because I do believe that the Houston Texans are going to come and they are going to bring it. All right, now when we start talking about head coach here, okay, obviously I'm going to give the edge to the Ravens. Okay, John Harbaugh is an excellent coach. He's been doing this for a very, very long time. He's been consistent with the Ravens for a very, very long time. And again, here he is with a chance to get his team to the AFC Championship game and a chance to get his team to a Super Bowl. John Harbaugh has won a Super Bowl. We all know that with Joe Flacco, okay, and Ray Lewis and things like that. But John Harbaugh has been an absolute model of consistency at the head coaching position, and DeMeco Ryans. Listen, DeMeco Ryans has been an outstanding football player in his career. He's an outstanding defensive linebacker coach. He was an outstanding defensive coordinator. Okay, and he still is a de facto a defensive coordinator, even though he's the head coach of the Houston Texans team. Now, DeMeco Ryans has took a team who won 2 or 3 games last year and got them to win their division, albeit though Jacksonville fell off the cliff at the end of the season and was not able to win the division that they probably most likely should have won. All right, the point is that the Texans won the division after only winning 3 or 4 games last year, maybe not even that much. All right, I didn't look at the stats. All right, so when you think about what DeMeco Ryans has been able to do with this team, all right, and get them in a position that they're believing in themselves and they feel like they should be here and they are the better team, that's a masterful coaching job from DeMeco Ryans. However, DeMeco Ryans has not been here. This is the first time that he's been in a divisional round round of the playoffs. This is the first time that he had to go up against a defense like this in the playoffs. All right, and he's the first time that he's coaching a rookie who has to go up against a defense like this in the playoffs. And I think that's something that should be said. Now that brings me into my next point. Okay, let's keep on going down the list. We're talking about defense. Obviously, the edge on defense goes to the Baltimore Ravens, and why? Okay, do I have to explain why? We're talking about Patrick Queen. We're talking about Roquan Smith. We're talking about that defensive line that's getting out. Look at Clowney out there. Okay, Clowney has come back, revitalized his career this year. We're talking about the cornerbacks and safeties. Now, one key pivotal factor for the Baltimore Ravens is the health of Marlon Humphrey, and it looks like Marlon Humphrey will not play in the game coming up this weekend, and that's going to be a big hit to the Baltimore Ravens, because we know that the Texans like to push the ball downfield. Okay, Nick Collins has been an absolute beast. He's been a beast. He was a beast last year. He was pretty good the year before that, and I'm talking about a beast on a team that's bad. On a team that's bad, he was probably the best thing on that team last year, and this year he is absolutely going off. Unfortunately for the Texans, though, they don't have Tank Dell, but I think CJ Stroud has been able to utilize his receivers. Now, from what I'm hearing, they might not have Noah Brown as well in this particular football game, which will probably hinder them as well. But again, CJ Stroud strikes me as a Patrick Mahomes-esque type quarterback, to where he knows how to get the very best out of all of his players. He knows what the routes are, what the route combinations are. He knows what the pass blocking scheme is. He understands the defense. He understands how to utilize his chess pieces on the board at a very, very young age, and as rookie as a quarterback, which is absolutely outstanding. But again, when we're talking about defense here, and I like DeMeco Ryans, I like what I've seen from the Houston Texans. I don't think that they're no slouch. I don't think that you should sleep on the Houston Texans by no means, okay? Because they've been able to they've been stout all year. They haven't been the top defense, okay? But we understand that this is DeMeco Ryans' first year as a head coach. He is going to make sure that he gets that defense up to snuff, whether or not they got to get some more pieces via free agency or via the draft, whatever they have to do. Believe me, they will do that. All right, but this defense, we have pretty good corners. You got pretty good D-line. No superstars out there, but you got guys who understand how to take direction and who believe in DeMeco Ryans and what he's selling them. Okay, offensively, there's no question. Offensively, I have to go with the Houston Texans. Okay, now listen. Singletary, the running back for the Houston Texans, balling this year, okay? C.J. Stroud, like we just talked about, balling this year, all right? Nico Collins, like we just talked about, balling this year, okay? There's nobody on the offensive side of the ball for the Baltimore Ravens that I would say is balling this year, okay? They have a couple different running backs that they use, all right? They had a couple different wide receivers that they use. I think Zay Flowers is coming along, but I don't quite think that the passing game is where it needs to be for the Baltimore Ravens just yet for me to give them the edge on offense. Now, I do like the fact that Mark Andrews is back this week, okay? But listen, the Houston Texans, all right, are not scared. They went up against the Cleveland Browns, who arguably have just as good of a defense as the Baltimore Ravens, and they were not worried in the least bit, okay? It looked like they game plan very, very well for what Cleveland like to do. And again, when you have a quarterback like C.J. Stroud who can make every throw and is not scared to push the ball down the field and give his wide receivers a chance to make a play, I got to go with that guy on the offensive side. Okay, now, before we give you a prediction of the score here, all right, let's talk about the X factor in this game, who I think is going to be the X factor, and I have to go with Baltimore Ravens tight end Isaiah Likely, okay, because having Mark Andrews back, he's the guy, okay, so when you put him back in there, you already know you got to deal with him, but now with the emergence of Isaiah Likely, okay, now, like I said, the Ravens could start playing more 12 personnel, all right, and even be more dominant in the run game, but even more dominant in the pass game by the fact that you have two tight ends out there that can not only block, but these two tight ends can get out in the passing pattern and run great routes and actually do damage down the field, okay, so that type of thing right there keeps the defense on its heels, all right, even on running downs, when you have a 2nd and 3 or you got a 3rd and 2, okay, you're out there in 12 personnel, okay, with those two tight ends like that, that is how you create big plays, all right, by having the defense come out and base personnel trying to stop your run and you sending those guys out in patterns and you have safeties and linebackers trying to cover these guys. Not going to happen, all right? Now it's time for prediction time for this game between the Houston Texans and the Baltimore Ravens, and as much as I want to go with the Houston Texans, as much as I look at Lamar Jackson's record and I say Lamar Jackson is 1-3 in his career, 68% passer rating, only 900 yards in 4 games and 3 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in 4 games, okay? I just think that the Ravens this year are positioned very well to take care and win this game. The Ravens have to make this an ugly game. All right. I don't think that the Ravens want to get into a shootout with the Houston Texans. OK, and the Ravens have the makings to make this an ugly game. OK, with the running game, the ball control. All right. All they need to do, Lamar Jackson, listen, historically, Lamar Jackson doesn't have to go out there and throw for 250 yards or throw for 300 or 350 yards like some of the other quarterbacks do. He just has to keep this offense going on schedule. Keep them ahead of the chains, all right, and not get behind them. And I think that Lamar Jackson will be able to do that. I think this defense will come out and try to show C.J. Stroud that he is, in fact, a rookie, okay? With that being said, I do like the Baltimore Ravens to win this game in a very, very ugly game. I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens 19-13. Okay, again, the Baltimore Ravens will win this game by a score of 19-13. This has been TK the Official. This has been TK Sports Talk. Again, the Baltimore Ravens, I have them winning this game against the Houston Texans 19-13.